Welcome to the Blazing Cook. Today I'm doing a special recipe for a special friend of mine. Him and his wife love lamb as well as I do. And this recipe eliminates that whole gamey that make a lot of people shy away from this protein. This is so simple, it's ridiculous, but it's packed with a lot of flavor. I'm gonna be doing it in my rotisserie and the Kamado Joe, but if you don't have it, you can do this recipe in your oven. Today I'm only cooking the meat because I'm gonna allow my friend to part it up with whatever he desires. All I'm doing is cooking up the lamb for him, so follow me. All right, so here you have your rosemary, oregano, and thyme, along with the garlic. Those are our four ingredients. I might add a twist towards the end, but I still haven't decided yet. I would like to see how this meat turns around. This is the deboned leg of lamb, and as you can see it, I am butterflying it. I'm also trimming a little bit of the fat and checking out for silver skin. But this fat, I like to leave it in because I'm cooking it in an open fire, so it will render anyways. You won't have that left behind. I also gonna do the same thing, adding some cavities into the meat, so I can just season it right now just with salt. I'm using a flaky Maldon salt, real good salt. It's the only salt that I use for my red meats. And I'm doing the same thing on the other side. And we're gonna let this brine dry for at least 4 hours before we start using it, or before we add the other ingredients, which is gonna give us enough time to prepare them, to prepare the marinade, because we're going to leave this overnight. As you can see, it's nicely salted. You can do this to your taste, but don't be afraid. It's a big piece of meat, so make sure you season it well. Now, for the oregano, I wish there was an easier way, but gotta remove all those beautiful aromatic leaves out of the stem. You don't want to use the stem because you don't want to chew on it at the end when you're trying to enjoy a beautiful piece of meat like this. So I'm doing the same thing with the rosemary and the thyme, removing the leaves. That's all we want. So to prepare the marinade, I got my garlic. I added a little bit of olive oil. I add my herbs, and I'm adding a little bit more olive oil so I can have a good consistency. You don't want a runny consistency, but you don't want it to be too dry neither. So you want to have sort of a paste so it can stick to the meat, because we are leaving this overnight. As you can see, beautiful marinade. I like to add the pepper towards the end. I'm not putting it to the blender again. I just adding fresh ground pepper to this mix, so the pepper can just have its own identity, not just one like that. As you can see, the meat had turned into a more intense red, and that means that the salt did his job. The salt just penetrated, so we are nice and seasoned. So all there is to it is just to rub this marinade. And don't be afraid to use your finger, go through the cavities that we made, because you want all that goodness just to penetrate the meat. And like I said before, we are going to roll it up, and we're gonna let it sit in the fridge for at least 12 to 24 hours. And there it is. Beautiful marinade. Once again, going through those cavities that we made, just so all that seasoning can just penetrate. 4 ingredients. Now I'm using some butcher's twine. Make sure when you do use it to tie it up really nice. Whether you're using your oven or a rotisserie to do it, because the meat will tend to shrink. And if it's not nice and tight, it's just gonna come apart, maybe start flopping in the rotisserie, and you don't want that. And also, don't forget to locate your butcher twine, because at the end of the cooking, you wanna be able to remove it. You don't want to serve that to anybody, so make sure you know, or you make a mental note to remove it. So after 24 hours, this is how mine is looking. And even though I haven't removed it from the package, I can smell it. It smells intense. It smells delicious. So all those herbs, they married. It's just amazing how simple this is, but how delicious and how wonderful does it smell. I'm doing the same thing. I'm putting it on the rotisserie. I'm making sure that it's nice and tight. I'm also inserting my wireless thermometer. We're looking for an internal temperature of 145 to 150 for a nice medium doneness. I know people that eat it a little bit more on the raw side, but this is how just my friend like it, and this is how I like it as well. But you can play with the temperature. But for a nice medium well, looking for a temperature of 145 into those range. So the wireless thermometer comes super handy because it just lets you know when your meat is almost ready. And towards the end of the cooking process, I'm gonna let the lid open so I can add these two ingredients, beef tallow and Pecorino Romano. And I'm using the beef tallow. You can use clarified butter, but the reason why I'm using a beef tallow or a clarified butter in your case, if you don't get access to it, is just to create a binder. I want to create a crusted Pecorino Romano leg of lamb. This is just to elevate those flavors even to a different degree. As you can see, it's dripping all that goodness, all that fat, and it's flaring up, creating a nice crust. So all there is left to do is just to add your pecorino. And as you can see, it binds well, it's gluing to the meat, and it's gonna remain there. And as it rotates, it just create this nice, beautiful crust that is mind-blowing. It's just super delicious. And as you can see, as it rotates, the Pecorino Romano is not going anywhere. It's just sticking to the meat, creating this other layer of flavor. You don't have to use it. You can stick to the 4 ingredients, still going to be amazing. But I just, at the last minute, wanted to elevate the flavors. Now, for the moment of truth, look at that. Beautiful medium doneness. This thing is just amazing. And that crust that the Pecorino created and the beef tallow is just screaming flavors. And as you can see, even though I'm slicing the Pecorino, the cheese is still sticking to the meat. So I'm slicing it. You can slice it and present it the way that you want it, but this is kind of like the way that I'm gonna go into nice little slices like that. Now, that end piece, it will be the one that I'll be using to taste, because for the last 3 hours of cooking in a slow rotisserie setting, it just got me hungry and the smells are killing me. So I'm slicing into nice little squares. I might share with my dog, but look at this. This is just unbelievable and so juicy. Oh, this is delicious. Super delicious. Look at the doneness, perfect medium, super juicy, super tasty, no gamey taste at all. Look at that. Look at all the juices in the cutting board. This thing is amazing. Do yourself a favor and try this recipe. Super easy, super delicious. And until the next time, please subscribe and leave your comments down below.